Hello everyone, I'm Sara G, Allison, and I'm actually a trichologist of nearly 30 years now. Let me just explain, most people don't even know what a trichologist is. So a trichologist is someone that specialises in hair and scalp health. And before I was a trichologist, I actually was a nurse, a very, very senior nurse in some of the most prestigious London hospitals, and my speciality was in women's health. Well, I originally did general nurse. Well, I originally did general nurse training, then I specialised in women's health, and then I went actually back to general health again because then I worked for NHS Direct as a nurse advisor and then as a nurse practitioner in GP surgeries. So I have quite a wide range of knowledge in the health industry, but my speciality and my passion will always be women's health when it comes to health and wellness. I studied to be a trichologist whilst I was nursing at the same time, and my reasoning for getting into trichology was hair is a reflection of your health and your wellness. So that's how I like to approach it. And that is why I also now have a speciality in hair loss in women, which is much more complex, because when I explain it to people that I'm a trichologist, most people assume that I'm seeing bald men, and which is not the case, because the men that I do see tend to be of quite younger years, or men that have hair and they just want to hang on to it, rather than the type that have already accepted the fact that they're going bald and have left it way too late. So most of my clients are actually female, or as I said, or men of a younger age, and it's much more complex for women with hair loss issues because it is often multifaceted. There are often a lot of reasons why women could be thinning, and obviously you may not have those kind of issues, but most women want to have better hair, even if you don't feel that it's actually thin and that you've got any loss or that it's shedding too much, but you may just want better condition or know how to look after it better. And some of you may also have some scalp issues too. So the scalp is very important because you really need to address the scalp, because it can often get very neglected. People can have like psoriasis or eczema in their scalp and have some really bad flaking and itchiness and tolerate that for years, but then it can get to a stage where if you leave it too long, then you can get some permanent scarring type of hair loss that will never come back. So it is important to address those things earlier on. But if you have like psoriasis or eczema or something on your face or on your body, it's quite easy to apply lotions and potions. But if you have it on your scalp, it's much more difficult to treat it, and because you can't see it either. So it's like really difficult. If you've got something going on in your scalp, you're like, oh, what's that? But you can't see it, so it's really difficult. Not for me, because I created a whole range of lovely products, and I certainly know how to get your scalp into good health. One of the most important things I would say for your scalp and for your hair is actually to wash your hair more often. So this is something that a lot of people get very shocked about when I say that you need to wash it more often, especially as you're getting older. You're producing less sebum, so your hair gets less greasy, but it can actually get drier, and you still have a build-up of skin cells, so you still need to wash those off. And the pollutions, environmental toxins, any hairstyling products, they still need washing off. So it is still very important to wash your hair more often. So I generally would say wash your hair at least every other day, and as long as you're not using heat styling. So that's the only caveat to that. So just minimize any heat styling that you're doing. And that's my number one tip for better hair. And if your hair is quite dry, because that can happen when you're a bit older, is that actually if you're washing your hair with the right products, it actually hydrates your hair more and conditions it more, so it can put in more moisture and condition. So it will actually help. So that is my number one tip. And I know that shocks people a lot, because you hear about reducing hair washing. all the time from everyone else. So yeah, so your hair does change as you get older, and when you're younger, your scalp does produce more oil, which keeps your hair soft and hydrated. But as you get older, the oil production tends to slow down, and this can lead to dryness, and you can actually notice that hair strands feel finer than they used to, or sometimes even coarser. And this is because the actual diameters of your hair get smaller as we age. And of course, we're all experiencing graying. That happens as well as your hair follicles stop producing the melanin and the pigment that produces the hair color. So, but actually, grey in hair can be reversed to a certain degree too. The pigmentation can be enhanced by taking my supplements. My M&Os in particular, are really good at reversing grey in hair. So yeah, it's not an inevitability to a certain degree. Obviously, it still is. You can't completely reverse the signs of aging, but you can certainly slow it down. And instead with my M&Os, which have a really comprehensive multivitamin and mineral supplement, and nutrients are very, very important for your hair growth. So in particular, sort of vitamin D and iron and B vitamins. As you get to more of a menopausal age, then you don't need so much iron if you're eating enough red meat, because you're not having periods anymore. Women of a menstruating age often need extra iron. But as you get a bit older, then you'd need more B vitamins and more harder to assimilate in your tummy. And a lot of medications can inhibit the absorption of B vitamins, like PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, the ones that help your acid reflux indigestion. A lot of ladies are taking those as they get older, and a lot of other medications as well. So your B vitamins can often be very important, and definitely vitamin D as well. So that with the iron, it's just important to get your blood tested. So I would recommend a high dose of vitamin D. So I would recommend at least 4,000 international units a day. And it's very important when you're taking vitamin D that you're taking it with the other cofactors that really help, because vitamin D actually increases the absorption of calcium. And so it's not extra calcium you need, it's actually extra vitamin D that you need. But you need the cofactors to make sure that calcium goes to the right tissues, like the hard tissues, like your bones, rather than the soft tissues. So vitamin K and magnesium in particular, but I add K1 and zinc as well with my vitamin D complex, and it's a very highly bioavailable formulation. Vitamin D is not important just for your hair, it's important for your general health and wellness anyway. And as I said before, that's how I get people to regrow their hair, is by getting them to be as healthy and happy as possible. So vitamin D is number one vitamin for that. And actually it isn't, it's more important than just a vitamin, it's actually a hormone. So regulates so many different other hormones in the body. My M&Os, which is an omegas. M&Os, my multivitamin supplement, I also have the omegas, omega-3s, and the healthy fats are also very important for helping to keep your hair shiny and your scalp hydrated. Yeah, the other thing that can really influence your hair as you're getting older is that you may well be on medications, and a lot of medications are actually really bad for your hair. So some are actually won't make any difference to your hair whatsoever, and so that'd be fine. But a lot of the common ones would be the statins, ones for your to bring the cholesterol down, ones for your blood pressure, so, and antidepressants, and those are the three most common types. Are also ones for osteoporosis. Yeah, and some HRTs. The bioidentical HRTs are the best ones. So that would be Trichology rather than a synthetic type of progestogen. And obviously that comes with, you'd need to take an estrogen as well. But the estrogens are usually fine. It's just that the progestogen component tends to be synthetic. The only one that isn't synthetic is Trichology. There's a few different brands that are using the same generic There's a few different brands that are using the same micronized progesterone. So what can you do if you're on medication that's causing you to have hair loss? Well, actually, quite often it can be that if you just see your doctor and just ask to reduce the dose a bit, quite often it's just reducing the dose can help quite significantly. And quite often, if people start off on a lower dose, then they'll be okay. It won't affect the hair. And then sometimes the doctor say, oh, whatever it is, your blood pressure is still high, we need to double the dose. And it's when you double the dose and you get hair loss. So the other thing to realise when it comes to hair loss is that you don't get it at the time of what's going on. There's a delayed response. So your hair, because of the hair cycle, your hair is a reflection of your life 100 days ago. So if something were to happen, like supposing I was going to put on a medication now that's going to cause me to have terrible hair loss, then it would be 100 days later that you start seeing the shedding. But by that time, you might have decided that you're going to stop that drug anyway because maybe you've got achy joints or something that you're like, oh my God, I feel sick, or you feel sick and you stop taking the drug. So then by the time you're getting the hair loss, you're like, okay, I've got hair loss, and you're not even correlating it to the fact that you took medication. It might be, oh, you were in hospital for something and you had to take something just temporarily. So that's worth bearing in mind. And then the other thing, obviously, also that can cause hair loss is stress. So stress is a very common cause of hair loss, and again that will be, you'll see it like 100 days later. So it will correlate completely with how long you're stressed for. So you'll see the shedding. If you assess stress for a week, you'll get a week's worth of shedding. If you're stressed for like 6 months, you'll get it 6 months worth of shedding. But again, it will be like 100 days later that you'll start to notice it. And then it will be, well, okay, then the stress has settled. You feel fine now, whatever it was that was going on has now resolved, but then it will take another 100 days later before your hair starts settling down and the shedding is better. Anyway, so there's a few causes of hair loss and hair problems, and what can you do about it? Well, obviously, I would recommend coming in for a consultation with me. I run blood work and can give you a personalised treatment plan, and I do have some fantastic products. So my M&Os are really good. So if you're on, say, a medication that you have to take, you literally can't stop it for whatever reason, and then you can mitigate that by taking my M&Os, because that can really enhance the regrowth of your hair. So you may still get the shedding, but you'll get a regrowth as well to compensate for that, and that works pretty well. So other things that can be really good for you to help would be to increase your red meat consumption. So red meat is quite vilified, and there's a lot of pressures to reduce red meat consumption, but actually it's the most nutrient dense food there is, and contrary to popular belief, it doesn't raise your cholesterol levels, and your cholesterol levels are, to be honest, it doesn't matter if they're a bit high anyway. There's another contentious issue. So yes, I would encourage your red meat intake, and that can really help. That's the other superfoods to eat would be eggs, red meat, any animal based products rather than plant-based. Plant-based supplements are really good, but not when it comes to eating. You'll get much more benefits from eating animal-based foods. So yeah, I've been talking for long enough now. I think I can go on and on. So does anybody have any questions in particular that I haven't covered or that I have mentioned and I want to find out more? So yeah, if you would like to book a consultation with me, then I can get to the root cause of whatever is going on, because it's a very complex subject. Hair loss, hair health, and can't really cover it in such short space of time. And obviously people need bespoke, personalised treatment and advice. So I would run blood work, and it would be lovely to see you. Please visit my website, hairtodayandmoretomorrow.com, and speak to you soon. And please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. Thank you. Bye-bye.